After a 6-4 win over MSOE on Friday night at home, it was Joey Sardina who was the hero on Saturday, scoring with 3:24 left in the third period, giving Lake Forest a 5-4 win over Concordia and making it the first sweep on the season for the Foresters. Well, Lake Forest is going to close out the first semester traveling to Aurora on Friday night and then hosting the #1 ranked team in all of Division III hockey at home on Saturday night in UW-Stevens Point. I'm Cam McGuire, the voice of Forester Hockey, and coming up next, joining me in this week's episode of Inside Forester Hockey is head coach Pat Keller. 1-2 Rosh slides it over to his right. Sardina inside the right dot. Sardina shoots and scores! Well, Coach, what a weekend it was. A huge sweep with that 6-4 win over MSOE on Friday, and a 5-4 win over Concordia, and those were a huge 4 points.
Yeah, I mean, certainly anytime that you're playing divisional games, the points matter that much more, and those are two teams that typically were battling for, playoff positioning and standings positioning all year. So to get a couple victories early in the year against two quality teams like that, I think it was certainly a good weekend for our team.
Yeah, you look at 2-goal leads this season. They haven't been your friend other than this past weekend, but MSOE on Friday, you guys had a 5-3 lead going into the third. You were able to hang on with that 6-4 win, obviously. And then Concordia at one point, you guys had a 3-1 lead, and they tied it back with 2 goals in the third, but you guys prevailed 5-4. It seemed like you guys stayed calm and collective all weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could look at some progress where earlier in the year we had some 2-goal leads and we ended up tying both those games, I think, if I remember correctly, and so we were able to get 2 wins. So making some progress. I think for us the next step is not relinquishing those 2-goal leads and playing a little bit smarter, a little bit more sound defensively when we do have a lead. But if we're learning and we're growing as a team, then we'll take it as a positive.
Well, it was easily the biggest offensive weekend of the year, too. Obviously, it combined 11 goals. But the shots you guys took, too, on Friday night, you outshot MSOE 35-22. And then on Saturday, you outshot Concordia 37-33. And I know that was a point of emphasis heading into the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it's really been a point of emphasis for the last probably 2 or 3 weeks now for our team. Just our coaching staff felt like we weren't getting enough pucks to the net. We weren't having a good net drive. We were just trying to make the perfect play all the time. And so for the last couple of weeks, we've really been preaching it. Probably to the point that our guys are sick of hearing about it. But at the end of the day, getting pucks to the net allows guys to finish there, and you get some of those greasy rebound goals. That we banged in this weekend a few times. So it was definitely a point of emphasis, and it was good to see the guys follow through with it and for them to see some results from it as well.
Well, a couple individual efforts. Obviously, Joey Sardina, 6-game point streak, 2 big goals on Saturday night. Colin Kane also a 4-point weekend, and Troy Nelson a 3-point weekend. You got to look at the back end, though. Reed Scahill was a combined +5 on the weekend. Now 46 career games for Reed. He's only been a minus in 5 of those. He's pretty reliable on the back end.
Yeah, he is. Reed's really solid, what I think a lot of people consider to be a defensive defenseman, but he does a good job, obviously, protecting the net front, on our end, but, he moves the puck well, too, and it's kind of not what maybe people think of as traditional defensive defenseman. He still makes a good, breakout pass. He can get up the ice, help facilitate the offense, too, so... but yeah, he's a really, I think, steadying influence back there. He's someone who's not, overly concerned about the points. Mm-hmm. So for him, he just wants to go out and play a solid defensive game, each and every night and be consistent for our team. So it was good to see him, be in the positive this weekend. And, he's someone that's important to our team for sure.
To close out the regular season, Lake Forest is going to head on the road, taking on Aurora on Friday night at 7 p.m. and then hosting the #1 ranked team in all of Division III hockey on Saturday at home in UW-Stevens Point on Saturday. But before we get to Saturday, this is a new-look Aurora team, 7-3 on the season, 5-1 in the NCHA, and head coach Jason Blumingberg in his 3rd year down there at Aurora, he's really turned things around.
Yeah, I mean, certainly, I think you knew it was just a matter of time before they kind of got things going there, and their coaching staff's done a really good job recruiting, and I think it's something crazy like 8 of their top 10 leading point scorers are all freshmen.
Yeah.
So that will not be a pushover. I think it should be a really competitive game, and I think a team that moving forward you're going to see really competitive in the conference and particularly in the South Division. So. Although it's a non-conference game for us, it's a game that we'd like to obviously have a good showing and kind of set the tone for hopefully our season series throughout the year. But I mean, I think it'll be a really competitive game. They're a team that I think could easily be maybe receiving some votes too. They're just probably still viewed a little bit as new kids on the block by some people. But it should be a really good one on Friday night.
Well, then obviously, Stevens Point, they've been the number 1 ranked team in the country for the last 5 weeks. They've yet to lose this season. Here's a team that's gone to the Frozen Four 4 out of the last 5 years. They're going to be a pretty solid opponent on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, I think to me, I think it's a great opportunity for our team. Having the number 1 team in the country come into our rink, not always the easiest place to play, especially for teams that aren't here consistently year after year. But we also have, I think, some experience, not to say, teams are all the same, but, every year we have some, top-ranked teams in our conference that we see multiple times throughout the year. So, I think obviously we know Stevens Point will be a really good team. They'll be very skilled. They obviously are playing with a lot of confidence, but I don't know if it's something new for our team to be playing, a top-ranked team in the country, because generally we're seeing that a few times throughout the year anyways, just within NCHA play. But it's a really good opportunity. I'm looking forward to the weekend. I think both games, should be exciting and should be a good measuring stick for our team to kind of see how we're stacking up.
Well, like we said, to close out the first semester this weekend, both games at 7 p.m. on Friday and Saturday. You can catch those on GoForesters.com with coverage beginning at 6:45. That'll do it for this week's episode of Inside Forester Hockey.